So it's like a little reunion here, all three of us, and I'm glad to see everybody's doing well and everybody's got their fun backgrounds, and which is great. And so, are you guys keeping busy, keeping safe, all that good stuff?
Yes, staying busy, staying safe. Jen, my background looks like I'm in jail, actually. Now that I'm looking at each wall, I'm like, wait a minute. I didn't have time. I was running late, so I was like this. Pick the first one. Oh, that looks
Kind of
cool.
like hipster Williamsburg.
Yeah, whatever. Yes, I'm doing well. Safe, well, knock on wood. All is good.
Excellent, excellent. Well, hello and welcome to Curdcast, the podcast for people who like to eat cheese. I'm your host, Jen Mason, with my co-host, Julie Faye Fanbalzer, and our special guest and curator of this Curdbox, Chef Michelle Ragusis. Hello, ladies. Hello, Julie. Thank you for coming back to another box. Good to have you here.
I mean, you can't avoid me I literally know where you live. So yes, I'm here.
It is. I just.
To each other?
Pardon?
You live close to each other?
Yes.
Yeah, about 20 minutes if there's traffic. 5 minutes if it's night and I'm racing.
Got it.
Close enough for cheese delivery, which I think is the really most important thing.
Right.
It's perfect.
Just go over and be like, cheese, now, cheese.
We can always make that happen. And Chef Michelle, thank you again for doing another box with us. I'm super excited about this box.
Absolutely. I love everything Greek. So, I'm like Greek, Italian, New England. People can't keep me away from those things.
It's so great. And the secret for everybody.
Before we eat anything, the most brilliant thing about this box is this is the least effort I have ever had to put into making the cheese plate look nice. I literally just cut everything and threw it on a plate and it's already like gorgeous.
Yeah. I snapped a little picture today too for my Instagram.
And delicious, you guys.
So delicious.
Cheeses are delicious. I don't know why they're not as popular as most cheeses. I think people kind of just put them in a box.
I think so. Yeah.
Funny, they all have their little place and they don't expand beyond that. I don't know why, because they're.
Yeah, I totally agree. And we're going to talk a little bit about that today and about what you're working on and what other ways we can use this cheese. Not that there'll be any left after you eat your box, but so the theme for this box is it's all Greek to me. And for those of you who are listening in because you saw Michelle's name on here and you don't know what the heck she's doing, this is Curdbox. Every month we're a subscription box. We send out 3 cheeses and 3 pairings that all revolve around a theme, and this month's theme is Greek. And we knew we were going to do another box with Michelle when we did our first box with Michelle, and we knew we were going to make a Greek box with her. So this is the perfect time to do it in January because we can ship it out. Everybody's boxes stay cold. Doing fresh cheeses, we want to be super careful with them. So that's why we're exploring this right now at this time of year. Plus, we have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people who are going to be getting this box. We had so many new subscribers that joined us in December. So I'm just like, I'm so excited that this is like my little gift to them is you, Michelle, is your box, kicking off the year with thinking new about cheese. And so if you're watching along, listening along, you can go to curdbox.com and get your box, and you'll get, if you subscribe in January, you'll get the February box. We also have now, for anybody who hasn't listened before, we now have Curdbox Flex, which is nut-free, vegetarian, and gluten-free. So we've got a box now for everybody who's tired of just being told not to eat the crackers. So super excited about that. But we should just dive in. So the way we do this, and Michelle's done this before, is we sort of go through the cheeses one at a time, then we go through the pairings, and then we talk about them all together. And the best thing when we have Michelle on the podcast is that we kind of go off on really delicious tangents. So there's no script written for this. Just come along for the ride. It's so much fun. We might talk pottery. We might talk food fests. Who knows? But you got to stay for the whole podcast to find out. So I want to start with our first cheese. And Michelle, since you are Greek and I am not, if you know I am mispronouncing these, please correct me. Because I'm studying Italian right now, and I'm trying very hard not to make everything Italian. But
I'm not really good at it, but I think if I was in Italy eating at a restaurant, I would know it people were talking about, because every time I go to learn, it's all food. That I
Yes.
can't learn anything else yet. It's got to be food, because I can pick it up and then, so I do really bad anywhere else in Italy, but good in restaurants. That's okay.
Yeah, I think that's so cool. And I got a cookbook for Christmas this year, a Sicilian cookbook, and each recipe is in English and in Italian. So I was like, that is the best way to learn. If I could just have 72 more cookbooks with recipes in both, I could be fluent, no problem. So our first cheese is, this is a new one to me, is Minori cheese.
I love it.
This is so great. So this falls into our milky and mild category, which I think we've never put in the box. So we break our cheeses up into 8 different categories. They're kind of the same categories everybody else does. This is our whey cheese category. So most people, all you'll ever have is ricotta in the whey cheese category. And what does whey cheese mean? Like, that's crazy. It's when cheese is being made, and they put something in it. It's animal rennet or vegetarian rennet, and it makes the curds come away from the liquid. So we start to getting the cheese, and the more we get the liquid out of the curds, the closer the curds become cheese. So that liquid is it's usually a cloudy liquid, but it's because it's filled still with protein. It's filled with whey, and so I think this is just because our forefathers and foremothers were really good at being frugal, and you can actually extract the protein, the rest of that whey out, and make another cheese. So this cheese is made like that. But if you've had ricotta, it is not creamy like this. This is then they go back and add cream to this, which is cool.
You know what it reminds me of when I eat this, but I like it better, is ricotta salata.
Exactly. It's like a creamy ricotta salata.
Yep, and not as salty. So ricotta salata to me is delicious, and I love it, but it's super, like, kind of punches you in the face a little bit. And this one, you're kind of like, it's just kind of, it is warm and creamy and buttery. I love it. It's one of my faves.
It's so nice. So this one is made by Bizantino, and it's a fresh cheese, so it's not like aged how many ever months. And I hear this is also served commonly as a dessert cheese drizzled with honey, which just makes me wish we had also put some honey in this box. But hopefully everybody's got a little honey at home and can try that, like, right now. So I think, and I can totally see it.
I actually did something, because I have this on hand quite a bit. And when you cook it, it has almost still a firm texture. It's not a great melting cheese, but I made some oxtail stuffed poblano peppers, and I didn't have like tortilla and I was going the Mexican route, and I used this cheese, and it was delicious. It wasn't melty, and it still kept its firmness, but
I love it.
Creamy flavor to go along with the oxtail. It was really good. So I don't think it's something that should be pushed aside and just be like, I think you could use it in a lot of different ways.
Yeah, I think it's delightful.
Yeah.
What do you think, Julie?
I really, really like it. It tastes so fresh. I was expecting it to be very much like feta when I just opened it, because that's my sort of number one familiarity with Greek cheese, if I'm completely frank, right? And so it's so fresh. It's salty, but it does have that sweetness to it. And I'm really interested to hear Michelle's suggestions about cooking with it, because that never occurred to me. You know what I mean? I just thought of it as like a, cold cheese that you might put with like some tomatoes and a salad or something like that. But I can see immediately how it would be a good, even though it's not a good melting cheese, that it would still be a good, like, bake it in the oven with something, then stir it all up. And it really lends that creaminess.
And scrambled eggs in the morning.
It's great. Yum.
Maybe
that would be so good.
Roasted peppers laying around. So I definitely think it's one of those cheeses that can be used in a lot of things. Also crumbled in salads. I mean, we always think feta. I love my feta. There's so many other Greek cheeses that I think this is another one that can take on the play if you can't find feta or want to just start playing with it a little more. I think it's the underdog of the Greek cheese.
I wonder why. Is it harder to transport than feta? Is it like much more expensive to make than feta? Like, why? I mean, feta to me is so much saltier and less, like, you know, sort of good mouthfeel, but it's everywhere.
It's everywhere, but I think that's I don't think it's all of the other things. I think it's more that when people hear of something so traditional and just like that's what they think, you just go to that. So maybe it's sold more than this, or Feta makes more money, obviously, because everyone's ordering Feta cheese or wants Feta cheese. But
Yeah.
This is another way, especially if you're going the ricotta salata route, go the Greek route, go this route.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. And I think, it just needs, a its own PR, because Feta's got some good PR. And I think honestly, Feta, because it can be aged in barrels and stuff. This is a fresh cheese. There could be, you know, it's got to get here a little quicker. Or it gets here as soon as it's, you know, you want to eat this cheese soon, as soon as it's cut. It's going to be the best. So there's probably something in just getting it here, but it is fantastic. I really encourage people. We recently went to a local Greek grocery store, and I have to say one of the best international grocery store experiences I have ever had. Stopped and talked to the owner, and I just wanted to try everything. And we, in fact, made a giant box of all things Greek food for my mother-in-law. We do that for her for every birthday and Christmas. So she discovers a new place, and we decided to do Greece. I was on a Greek kick, and it was so much fun. And I encourage people to go out to these markets and ask questions and be interested. And there's like, if we have this many delicious foods wherever we come from, everybody else has their delicious foods as well. And your world is too small if you're not eating other people's delicious foods.
Is this store in Boston?
Yeah, it's in like the Dedham area. It's I'll have to look it up. I'll send it to you offline. But yeah, it's really nice. And the woman was like, asked us how it was. You know, do we like the experience? She was talking to me. She gave me some pickles of somebody who brings them in locally that's related to her. And it was just like, it's just like, she was so excited to hear we enjoyed our stay, and like was asking what we were buying, because we just sort of got one of everything. And
I don't want to brag, but we have the
Yes.
best Greek store. I'm sorry that your grocery store you went to is actually not the best, but we have the best Greek grocery store here in town near me, because I get tzatziki there that will make you cry.
Yes,
And
you
they
do.
like amazing stuff. I'm in Watertown, and we have amazing Armenian food, amazing Greek food. We've got all that stuff, but it's so true. Like, the thing I always find interesting is when you go to like the little Armenian store, they have their kind of grape leaves. Then you go to the Greek store, they've got their kind of grape leaves. Then you go, you know, down the road to the Turkish place, and they've got their grape leaves, and it's like the same but slightly different.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so much fun.
Your foods also.
Yeah. So let's keep eating some cheese here. So our K3, unless I'm saying that wrong, is our next cheese.
Casseri, but you know, I say
Casseri.
I'm not.
That sounds more authentic.
Yeah.
So our first one was sheep. This one is goat and sheep. So it's got a little bit of a tang and a little bit of that saltiness. And this falls into our what we call stretchy and chewy category, what the cheese world calls pasta filata. So this falls into the same sort of category as mozzarella and provolone. It kind of probably will remind you more of a provolone than a mozzarella. But wow, this is so nice. Only 4 to 6 months old. And it's interesting. All three of these cheeses, spoiler alert, are salty. Which I absolutely love, and also sets you up for some really amazing pairings, like that honey, sweet and salty is so good.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about this one?
I
Michelle?
love this cheese. Love it. And it is salty, but not salty to the point where I'm like, whoa, it's salty to the like, it's super savory.
Yeah.
It has that really savory flavor. The first thing, if I was to close my eyes and think, if I didn't know it was a Greek box, I would think in the provolone family, hands down. That's where you go.
Yeah,
I like it better than provolone.
Yeah,
it's more flavorful to me than provolone, or maybe I've had bad provolone. But I definitely thought of you, Jen, when I first tasted it with your categories. I was like, oh, this is the flexible and friendly, because this is definitely the kind of cheese that you put out, and there's nobody on earth I can imagine who would be like, ugh, what is this?
Yeah.
Everybody's gonna be like, that's good cheese.
Mm-hmm.
And for the people people who are like, I don't do goat cheese, or what's sheep cheese, because everything they've ever had. Like, I always tell them, you haven't had the right one. If you don't like it, you have not had the right one. And there are bad ones out there.
Well, that's why
we're not great ones.
Right? Because you're educating people on cheese. That's why I love your product so much, because when you talk to people about goat cheese, then just the minority of people are like the average of people who don't know much about cheese but want to.
Mm-hmm.
It can be intimidating. Even for me as a chef, when I walk into a cheese store and they're like, "Do you want to taste it?" and there's 8,000 cheeses, and you're like, and some people are working, and you're kind of like, shoot, I thought I knew about cheese. I really don't. And most people think goat cheese, they think of like a log of goat cheese.
Yeah.
And that's
definitely.
And so they immediately go, yeah, I don't like it. There's so much more out there, and that's why we love you, Jen.
So much more.
Changing people's worlds on cheese.
Well, it's a win-win-win situation for me. One, I get to help small producers. We help big producers as well, but whatever tells our story. But we get to help a lot of small producers travel to the other side of the country. Like if somebody's just like selling their stuff on the East Coast, we are sending these boxes to people on the West Coast, and that helps them. I get to make these little stories, and I'm a storyteller at heart. I want to tell these stories. And then third is that the person who gets it hopefully feels that love from me and the love from the producer, who like some of these are like small family businesses. And it's just joy. It's a joyful job. It was so great. We ended up on the Today Show for December, which was great because so many more people got to learn about us. Our goal is to get people to stop eating boring. And I don't mean that in like, I'm the boss of you, but because we did a lot of research before we launched both our store and Curdbox, we asked people like, how do you see yourself as an adventurous eater? Like, where on the scale are you? And people ranked fairly high. Yeah, there were a couple people who are like, I like meat and potatoes, and that's it.
Yeah.
But they usually put themselves fairly high. And then when we asked how they actually ate, they like way lower than that. Yeah. So what we figured out with the great insight was talking to people beforehand was that people want to eat more adventurous. They want to try new things, but life just gets in the way. I don't know what to get while I'm at the grocery store. I'll just put in my cart what I put in last week and the week before and the week before that. So hopefully this gets people trying new things. Hopefully it builds endorphins when you're excited about trying new things. I love trying things with like you and Julie, because I know what I like, but until I share it, I get the joy out of it all over again. So hopefully everybody who's listening to this does get that.
She's opening up in Savannah a wine and cheese kind of like bar. She's asking me if I can help her with the menu, a very small menu, like 7 things on the menu. It's mostly about it's actually about the cheese too. Don't let me take away the love. But I told her to start looking for, small businesses, because that's who we want to help. And she can't find anything in Georgia. She was having a problem. And so like I'm sending her all these New England farms that have like amazing cheese up the East Coast. And I have to do a deep dive for her into Georgia. And I'm like, I don't know. So it's great. And I was telling her about you because you're teaching me about cheese. I'm a chef. It doesn't mean I'm a cheese chef. I'm just a chef who likes good cheese and will, when I'm in a restaurant, take in some cheeses and do some nice cheese boards. But as far as like my knowledge, you're so much more knowledgeable. So it's also teaching me. So you're also teaching chefs and everyone else. So again, more props to you.
Oh, thank you. I one day want to make Curdbox for family meal. For people who don't know, family meal is sort of the meal that before the restaurants open for the night. They all eat. It's usually not, if I know this correctly, it's usually not what you're actually serving. It's something somebody will whip up a salad, or they kind of have fun with it. And I always thought it would be so much fun to be able to ship cheeses out to these chefs for family meal with a little bit of information on them, because I feel like chefs want to learn about food, and you can't. The reason I love cheese is because I can't learn it all. There's never enough. I never stop learning. And so I think chefs are the same way. You see a new version of an apple, and you want to try that apple. You see a new, whatever. So that's kind of a dream of mine. And one of these days we'll get there.
I like that dream.
So we have one more cheese to try, which is our Feta. And what I love about this, so this is a barrel aged feta. This is oh, and I forgot to, let's see. Forgot to say this is by Mountain Pico.
That's good.
It is so creamy. I think so many people, we eat a lot of commercially made feta, made in the US, made wherever. That is, I mean, it's nice. It's like, but it's super crumbly and hard. I love one that sort of squishes, melts when you eat it. You know, the tip I've found for this is if you're going to crumble it while it's cold.
Yeah.
Because the warmer it gets, the softer it gets, the more that ends up on your fingers and not in your salad, not in your whatever. But wow, this is like a whole different salty. This is again goat and sheep. 4 months old, and it's aged in beechwood. Hold on, I wrote it down so I wouldn't forget. Yes, beech tree barrels, which is a rare technique, but it's traditional. So it's probably just something that's become too cost prohibitive for them to all do. People just want it, but I think maybe that's why I like the depth of flavor on this one, is that aging of it.
It's an acidic flavor.
At
the back of my tongue, it's almost like I could be like, there's citrus. It's that pungent almost. It's delicious.
Yeah.
I think in some cases, what has happened to feta is also what happened to Parmesan, which is we've come to associate sort of on a mass market level the taste of salt.
Yeah.
And like Parmesan just becomes salt and feta just becomes salt. And this is not that. Exactly. This has its actual own flavor.
Depth of flavor. I mean,
so good.
I love Parmesan, so you know, I shower things with Parmesan, but it's got to be good Parmesan. Right. Sometimes I cooking class and people are like, "Hey chef, is it okay if I got that Parmesan in the green thing?" And I'll go, "No, it is not okay. You go back to the store, get a nice block and shave it yourself."
Wow, oh man. Oh, slowly, one person at a time. We'll fix the world. All right, so we've got 3 delicious cheeses, all with a salt forward taste, but very, very different. So I think this is a fun one for people to like go back and try one of each of those things and see how different, you know, it's sort of like when you taste like 3 different kinds of cheddar at once. You learn something about how different things can be, and you kind of forget how magical the cheese world can be. So I think we should start trying some of our pairings here. We've got this beautiful olive spread, and it's green olives, and
I'm sorry guys, I was just in there right now. I was like this, it's sitting in front of me, I can't not taste it. I love olives. I don't know, there's a lot of people who don't like olives. I don't know how.
Well, this is a good example, actually, Jen, for you, right? Of how Curdbox has changed you, because but pre-Curdbox, you did not like olives.
No, I didn't. And before I opened the cheese store, whenever somebody asks me what I want, I'm like, anything but olives. I like everything. I'm good at like everything but olives, but I like capers. I love pickles. I love brine, and couldn't figure out what it was. So while we were building our cheese store next door, the Cuddies, which has been on Diners, Dives, and Drives, makes a sandwich with a olive and carrot salad on it. And I just ordered that every single day until I liked olives. It took me about 7 days, and then it was like my favorite sandwich. They tell you it's like 7 times you need to try something. And I think you can't get over that if you're one of the people who doesn't like cilantro because it tastes soapy. I think it's always going to taste soapy for you. But I like olives now, and I enjoy it. So I always like, it is a polarizing thing, and we try not to put them in too many boxes. But when we do put them in boxes, we make sure they're really good. And I think this one is fantastic. It has capers in it. It has oregano, and I brought something to show off. So this is let's see if I can, those of you who are listening, we also do this on video. This is oregano from Mount Olympus that my neighbor brought me.
Ooh.
his mom brought it to the States to visit him, and then made him bring cookies and oregano to us. We share a driveway together here in Boston, and it smells so good. It smells fresh. It is. I don't know when this was harvested, but it is so strong and in the good way. Oh, I'm like, I had it out.
I was at we have a really cool grocery store up here called Adams, and they get everything, as much local stuff as they can get, and then as much strange stuff as you can get. And so in the summertime, they had like raw olives.
Oh,
Is that eating a raw olive?
wow!
I heard they're really bitter.
They are disgusting. And so I didn't eat a raw olive, and I love olives. Everyone, Castro Lovano being my favorite. Then Calamari. I have to work my way down, but I love all olives. And so I was like, oh, raw olives. I'm gonna get some raw olives. I bring one home and I ate it, and I was like, oh my God, spit it out. It was so like punched you in the face, pungent and bitter, and oh, it was bad. And I wanted to love it because they're gorgeous. They're
so gorgeous.
Not good.
Yeah, when we were in Sicily in October, it's like you can't not walk by fresh olives on the tree, like everywhere. I could have. They're so beautiful, but I know they look better than they taste. But who took the first olive and said, let's work on this and see if we can make this.
I know that. I think that about oysters and clams. Who saw the first bird drop an oyster and then eat it? That's how it had to happen. And then go,
really?
Oh, well, that bird ate it and lived. Let's go open that shell. And I don't know. Right? I think about that all the time.
All the time. All right. So again, this olive spread, this is from Divina. Just fun. I would totally, this is like, if I had a ton of it, it is a whole jar, but I would mix them into cream cheese and put them on some really great New York toasted bagels and just let that
or sandwich.
So good.
Yes. Like if I felt like doing a little muffaletta, or an Italian, or we'll make it a Greek sandwich. I love their product too, by the way. So this company is really good for especially all the Greek stuff. Is just
or just a grilled piece of bread with that spread on it, and then sprinkle it with the manure.
I was gonna say, to go back to Michelle's suggestion of eggs, I'm ready for scrambled eggs with a little bit of manuri and a little bit of olive tapenade.
I'm down with that. I guess that's what we're having for breakfast tomorrow. So
right?
Perfect. All right. So next up, we this one isn't from Greece, but it is our pita chip. And what I love about this, so we get to talk about working local. These are from Brewers Crackers. They're pita chips. They're sea salt flavor. And these guys started next door. They shared the kitchen with Cuddy's, the sandwich place I was telling you about, where I learned to love olives. And the story is, one day, Kyle, who runs the business, was biking past a brewery, and they had dumped out their spent grains. And there's a bakery next door across the street, and it was early in the morning, so he smelled both the bakery, baking, and the yeastiness and the grains, and he was like, there's got to be some way we can eat that delicious smell.
Yeah.
And he created Brewers Crackers, which is basically they use spent grains and created this beautiful line of crackers. But so nice, small.
Them, they're not too salty. They just go, everything in this box is perfect so far.
So this is the first time you've ever put anything in a box that I actually had before the box, because we had the Brewers Crackers in a box 2 years ago, I got turned on to the brand. And then I found these pita chips a little while ago, and I was like, oh, awesome. It's Brewers Crackers, but in pita form. So, so I can kind of say that I had it before the box.
Excellent. I can't believe in 3 years this is the first thing that's so great. So, and we live in the same rough area, so we shop at similar grocery stores. It's that's awesome to hear. And yeah, and we love Kyle and Brewers Crackers. We were invoice 001. So really, really support him. And now you can find him everywhere. Which is awesome. Really, really awesome. Okay. So our last pairing was so cool. When you take it out of the wrapper, it's fig salami, and when you take it out of the wrapper, it looks like it's going to be a salami, but it's not. It's like it's more than a fruit paste. And this is fig. It has orange zest and a little bit of Aleppo pepper in it, but it's fruit.
If I didn't, I mean, I would know, but the texture is so good. If I was at a party and had a couple drinks, I'd be like, oh, what's that sweet sausage? Got a little sweet pig in there or something. But the texture is so like a salami. It passes.
And you know, we eat with our eyes as well. So if you're making a cheese board, and you have only vegetarians, or you just want to make options for vegetarians. I mean, I like this. I'm not a vegetarian, but it's a nice option. They make a bunch of different flavors. This is made by Hellenic Farms, and a bunch of different flavors. I like this one because we were going with more of a savory box, but this adds a sweetness, but still that Aleppo kick is interesting because it doesn't make it spicy so much as cut the sweetness.
Yeah. Right? And the orange, you really get the orange. Like that's the first I get is citrus first, and then the sweet, and then the pepper. Yeah, this whole box is. I love that you say that savory because it's savory. It's like when you eat a duck breast and you're like, that duck is so savory. This is savory. Like it's up there with that whole. Because every time I think that's really savory, it's either lamb or duck that I'm like, is to me the most savoriest of the meats.
Oh yeah.
Actually, this box goes well with a little duck and lamb.
So save some for breakfast and then some for dinner.
I was like, a little duck confit on here would be very nice. Yeah.
Yeah, this fig sausage is so interesting because it's like having a condiment you don't have to spread or drizzle or have a utensil, you know? And it also makes me think even if you were pre-making some kind of hors d'oeuvre that you could put together some little, you know, cracker thing, or even just put cheese directly on it as the surface, and it would hold up over a long period of time of sitting out, you know?
It's great. It's a great product.
You could toothpick it really easily too for, you know, people not touching and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's really great. I love these. We've been dying to get them in the box, and I'm so excited that so many people are going to get this month. So yeah, so we should just try. I know we all have kind of been doing it already, but we should start, you know, trying things together. Let me know, let our listeners know what things you're really loving. And yeah, let's experiment.
I mean, I'm fully that.
I'm going for the Minori Pita Chip olive tapenade. It feels classic.
All right. You know, I want you to know I've been on keto. I'm breaking my keto right now. Once in a while, I get it, you know. But
it's okay. It'll just tell your body.
I can eat as much cheese as I want on keto. Yeah.
That's a good bite. I'm going to go with the feta and the fig sausage now together.
Good choice.
Well, if I may, with my mouth full, the saltiness of the feta and the sweetness of the fig. I
mean, you do have the best job.
Right?
Anything in food, I always say, is the best job, just because we get to eat. But I would always tell my cooks, if I'd walk in the kitchen, I'd be like, you guys, if you're not eating, you're not working. What a good job that is. I mean, granted, it doesn't, you know, it's a hard job. But if you're not tasting everything, I want to see them chewing all day. Tasting.
Right.
Taste the only way you get better. And God, some days when it would be tough to go to work, I'd be like, I get to eat all day. I'm one of those people who enjoy eating and not just eat to live. I enjoy it.
Right. Yeah.
Well, the thing that's so nice too, though, is so often, and I think this gets back to the adventurous eating thing, Jen, is like, even though I love different things, a lot of times I'm just on my routine. Things are rote. It's easier to just make what I know, because then I don't have to do the like, wait, does this go together? How much? You know, I don't have to look up a recipe. I can just sort of like do what I know. And the nice thing about the Curdbox is I always feel like I can not have to think about it, throw things together, because it's already basically like done for me. And so that is always welcome.
Yeah. And different every time. So,
Yeah.
you know, convenience is good, but boring convenience is only so good for so long. So,
and helpful that it pushes people in the direction to go, whoa, I never thought about this, or wow, I never had a cheese like this, and hopefully opens up their minds to go, what am I going to do for dinner? Let me incorporate that cheese, or let me, and then come up with new recipes. So yeah, it's really great. Education is a great thing.
definitely.
How is it doing keto as a chef? I know that's not totally related to what we were talking about, but that must be hard.
Okay, so when I tell people I'm doing keto, I immediately follow up with, I'm not doing the keto that is like, let me have 4 steaks, 7 pounds of bacon, and okay, so I make sure that every day I'm cooking. So what, like breakfast, for instance, I'll usually have eggs and probably bacon and avocado, all of which I can have, or I'll switch it up with a keto yogurt and fruit. The only fruit I can really eat is like berries, but I'm okay with that right now. But I can really eat a lot. So for dinner, like tonight, I have escarole. I have some chicken thighs. I got all these beautiful cheeses. I got a chicken stock on right now. So dinner is not a problem with a big salad. I try to eat duck. I have, you know, a lamb chop, or so I'm always, I try to stay away from getting stuck in that same thing you're saying, like, let me just roast some chicken thighs with some lemon and olive oil and call it a day. And that's easy and delicious to make a salad. Right. So as long as I'm eating different protein every day, and, you know, I'm a big mushroom fan. So my store that I go to today had everything from, chestnut mushrooms to maitakes to oysters. And so and I'm not in a restaurant anymore, so I have to challenge myself every day to constantly don't fall into that spot, Michelle. So people are always like, what do you have for dinner tonight? I'm like, oh, I made a duck with, you know, some kind of gastrique. And they're like, what? I'm like, I have to keep cooking if I don't, you know. And so the keto thing for me is really just the chips are hard, but I'll eat cheese chips, right? Because these I want to devour right now. But few bites. And sugar I stay away from. I use a lot of monk fruit to sweeten things. So I'm eating the way I like to eat. It's pasta, you guys. That's the hard thing for me. Once a month, I will cheat. I will have pasta. I was just in Portland, Maine, and I was like, this bowls of pasta. And then that's it. I gotta like go back down. But I it's not that I hate it. I actually enjoy living like this, because most of the time I am just a meat and vegetable kind of girl anyways. It's just pasta is my hard thing. It's not bread. It's not potatoes. I'm not a potato girl. So it's pretty good. It's not bad. And I've lost like 13, 14 pounds. I could be losing more, but you know.
Yeah. And you're doing it in a healthy way. Yeah. Like the people are like, I had 6 hot dogs for breakfast. I was like, oh, you're nitrate. You're now like preserved.
No, I am eating as many vegetables and leafy greens and proteins. My proteins, though, it's good. I don't go for the lean. I don't like lean protein. I don't like chicken that's breasts. I like thighs. So I'm still eating what I love, and still experimenting. Stuffing peppers. I'm on a pepper kick lately, so lots of peppers and fun.
Well, when you cook something with the rest of this cheese, send me a picture and we'll post it on our Instagram.
Just got some. I just went shopping earlier, so we're gonna make something delicious.
Fantastic. All right. Well, any other last bits about the bites, about the cheeses, and we'll let people know how they can find everybody.
I mean, buy the box. That's all I have to say, because this is delicious. Heavenly.
Thank you.
Heavenly.
I love it. I love it. Okay, so we'll wrap up with YouTube, but first let me tell people that you can check out our Feta folks at Mount Vikos, Vikos. You can check out our Our green olive spread came from at Divina Specialty. The pita chips from our friends at Brewers Foods, and the really cool fig salami at Hellenic Farms. You can follow Curdbox at Curdbox. You can get your Curdbox at curdbox.com or your Curdbox Flex if you like to have it with no nuts, no gluten, and no meat. You can follow Julie at What Julie Ate, and Michelle. Tell us, let's finish off with how they can find you, follow you, where they can see you, anything you're working on, because like you'll give them the last bit of like what they really want, which is, where can we find Michelle?
You can find me on Instagram at Chef Michelle with 1 L. For anybody who wants to go to the coolest food festival in the world, you can find me at Mohegan Sun on January 28th, 29th, which is, it's a good time. They can find me at Facebook, Twitter. I'm just my name, Michelle Regussis. And I am doing a project with Vice. I can't talk about it, but I will let you know. It's going to be super cool. That's about all I could say, but filming soon. And so, and I got a couple more episodes of Beat Bobby coming out, judging on that. So if you follow me on Instagram, you will find out when, because I'll keep you all posted.
Excellent. And when will you be able to tell people about the Vice? When should they be making sure to check in for you there? Is it like spring, the summer? What do you think?
Probably within the month, just because COVID has put a wreck in the world of everything. And after probably a couple months. So probably won't be till the summer when it's coming out, but I will keep everyone posted.
It's so exciting. It gives us something to look forward to. And have a great time at the Food Fest. Thanks again for doing a box with us and for bringing us real Greek, bright, fresh cheeses, sort of the three like youngest categories of cheeses. Never before on a Curdbox before. So very excited. Everybody, thank you so much for listening. Julie and I will be back next month. And go check out Michelle. Follow her on Instagram. Follow her on Facebook. Do all the things. See her bowls she's been making. She's becoming a part-time or full-time potter. So check her out there too.
Full circle though, it's nice to make bowls and then we can eat in them. So yes.
It's perfect. I love it.
Always a pleasure to see you both.
Thanks so much. Goodbye, everybody.